Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So what does food mean to you? Stay with me today. My special guest is Nelson German from season 18 Top Chef. And also, he's going to share with us a yummy recipe in honor of National Hispanic Heritage Month that is coming up from one of his restaurants. You know, he's got two great restaurants in Oakland, California also. And this recipe is actually served at one of his restaurants, but I think it's easy enough for you to prepare it at home as well. So stay with me, and I also will be sharing another excerpt from my latest book, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, Diaries, Seasons. It is an entry from a September in Italy, and it includes a recipe for a fresh fig crostata. Stay with me. And here's the excerpt I promised from my latest book, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, Diaries, Seasons. This is an entry from a September 22nd that I was in Italy, and it's titled Impressions of September, Fresh Fig Crostata. F. Scott Fitzgerald once said, "Life starts all over again when it gets crisp in the fall." Can you believe summer is really gone? September, the month worthy of many songs, is here. Although in some parts of the world, summer either left too soon or never came. Songs like Earth, Wind and Fire's September and September in the Rain by the Beatles all extol the special qualities of this month. The figs of September are here. If you're anywhere near a fig tree, you'll want to pick one before it's too late. While not as intensely sweet as the figs of August, they're still worthy of a recipe or two, perhaps a pie, a crostata, or even a risotto. I'm loving every minute at my country house here in the mountains of Italy, and since I spent some of my morning picking fresh figs for my fig tree, I decided to whip up a fig crostata. For the crust, it's 1.5 cups of flour, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 1.5 tablespoons of salted butter, 3/4 cup of powdered sugar, 2 eggs. For the filling, you'll need 3/4 cup of crushed amaretti cookies, 1.5 pounds of fresh figs, 1/2 cup of white rum, 1.5 cups of fresh cream, 1 egg yolk, 1.5 tablespoons of granulated sugar. For the crust, you're going to place the flour and butter in a bowl and blend with an electric mixer, or you can put that in a food processor, and when blended, add in the eggs and powdered sugar. Blend together until a smooth dough forms. Shape the dough into a ball, cover with plastic wrap, and refrigerate for at least 30 minutes. Then you're going to roll out the dough on a floured surface and place in a pie pan that has been buttered and floured. Wash and cut the figs into slices set aside. Layer half of the crushed amaretti on prepared pie crust. Then arrange the fig slices on top. Cover the figs with the remaining crushed amaretti. Pour the rum on top. Bake in a preheated 375-degree oven for 30 minutes. While the pie is baking, blend together the egg yolk, cream, and granulated sugar. After the crostata has baked for 30 minutes, remove from the oven and pour the cream mixture on the top. Bake for another 20 minutes, remove from the oven, cool, and serve. You know, we have National Hispanic Heritage Month coming up in this month, September. And I have a special guest that's going to share some recipes to help us celebrate that. And we have celebrity chef. I'm really excited. We have celebrity chef Nelson Herman. And he was on, you might have remembered him from Top Chef season 18. And he's also the chef at 2 restaurants. And they're in they're in California, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, both in downtown Oakland.
Yes, downtown Oakland. I remember one name is Sobra Mesa, and the other restaurant is
Alomar Kitchen and Bar.
Elamar Kitchen and Bar. Okay, and they're in downtown Oakland. So if anybody's visiting downtown Oakland, they can just pop in.
Yes, please do.
Yes.
Sobremesa is a really sexy cocktail bar with
Wow.
delicious tapas and cocktails. And
Huh?
then Alamar, it's a family-friendly seafood restaurant. Uh, think about eating seafood boils with your hands and getting messy and having a lot of fun.
Oh, well, that does sound like a lot of fun. So you were, I know, National Hispanic Heritage Month is coming up very shortly, and I know you have some recipes. You have something that you had said you were going to share with us that uses plantains, which I think is interesting because not everybody, I think people don't don't like, not that they don't like to cook with plantains. I think they're kind of afraid of using them if if it's not in their background to use plantain
Yeah,
cooking. Do you find that?
I do, and it's so easy to cook with. It's just like cooking with a banana, you know.
Yes.
So it's intimidating looking at, but once you peel it, it's so easy to cook. You can do it. You can broil it. You can put it in the oven and bake it. You can
Uh-huh.
fry it too, like I do. There's so
Okay.
many different ways of using it.
So plantains, I know it looks, if you just look at it, it looks like a banana, but they are harder than, the consistency is harder than a banana, kind of like a potato, right? And you slice it up and you can do just what you said. All the different things that you just said,
Yeah, yeah. It's so there's one plantain, right? But
right?
you can have it either when it's green,
Uh-huh.
where it's more savory and it gets crispy if you fry it like a French fry,
Ooh,
or if
that's
you bake it, you can mash it like mashed potatoes
uh-huh.
if you boil it. But you can also let it ripe, so you can see more yellowish, kind of yellow and black banana.
Okay.
That's the ripe plantain. That's one of my favorites because it's sweet, it's delicious, it's gooey once you fry it, or
Uh-huh.
even bake it in the oven. It's so delicious, and that's the one I want to use for this recipe that I do at Sobremesa.
Great, great. So go ahead, you can share that recipe with us, and I'm hoping it will get people to cook with to try plantains, to try using them in cooking with plantains. So let us know what this recipe is.
Of course, of course. So this is a recipe we do at Sobremesa. It's a
Uh-huh.
delicious tapas, and it's inspired by something my mom used to do for me when I was young.
Right?
And by the way, I'm Dominican in nationality, so
Yes.
Afro Latino. I was born in New York City in the Washington Heights neighborhood. If
Yes.
you guys ever saw the movie In the Heights, that's my neighborhood.
Actually, I'm sorry. You know what? I wanted you to share with us a little bit about yourself because I know everybody's going to want to hear about how did you get started before you do the recipe. So I know you told us a little bit about your background, but how did you get started becoming a chef?
Well, growing up, it was always a hobby. So it was something I would just kind of would be observing my mom and grandma cooking in the kitchen,
Uh-huh.
seeing what they were doing, watching, being excited about the food, and
Uh-huh.
really wanted to know how it's prepared, how it's made from start to finish. It
Yes.
wasn't like I just want to eat. It was just like I was curious about the process,
Right.
which looked so fun because I would see my mom just dancing to merengue or salsa while she's cooking, having a great time. It wasn't like a very super serious moment. She was
Uh-huh.
having fun doing it. And the end product was absolutely fantastic. My mom is one of the best cooks. I love my mom's cooking. And it was always this curiosity growing up, but I would never put myself in the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why. It was some kind of fear or taboo. Like I was, being a man, I couldn't be in the kitchen in our culture at that time. But I should have just went in there. My mom was like, "You should have just told me you like to cook. I would have taught you a lot." Um, but growing up, I would kind of like start experimenting in the kitchen when nobody was around. I was
Uh-huh.
having fun with it. It wasn't a passion yet, not until about 18, 19 years old,
Mm-hmm.
when I would cook and try and cooking for my friends. I would do
Uh-huh.
the food for the barbecues, and I was loving it. Like
Uh-huh.
there was this like love for what I was doing. And then at one point, there was a choice I had to make where I was like, okay, do I pursue this as a career or not? Let me try this out.
Uh-huh.
Sign up for culinary school, and I've been in it ever since. Been in
Oh,
the business 23 years.
wow. Wow. That's
Yeah,
exciting. That's exciting.
yeah. But it became a real passion and a love, and I knew it was meant to do what I'm
Wow.
doing now.
Wow, that's great. Well, that's great. It's really important that it is a passion and you love it,
Oh
and you
yeah.
can tell by all the things you're doing. So, what, so tell us then. So this recipe with plantains, and you said that this recipe is, you serve this at Sobra Mesa in Oakland?
I do. So if someone's kind of afraid to try it, you can always come and try that soda mix at first and see
Yes.
if you like it. But it's a really
Yes.
easy, fantastic recipe. Again, it's inspired by something my mom used to do when I was young
Uh-huh.
called pastelón de plátano. So
Okay.
plátano is a Spanish name for plantains. They grow all over the Dominican Republic, all over West Africa and Central America too.
Uh-huh.
So I use the sweet plantain, which
Hmm.
is my favorite. It's super easy to cook with.
Okay.
I think people have kind of get intimidated how to peel it, but it's so easy. You cut both ends and you slice a couple slits and you pull it right off. Again, like a banana. But I think if you start with the sweet plantain, it becomes easier because it's soft and it's easier to peel. The
Yes.
green one is definitely a lot harder. It took me a while to get used to kind of peeling that because it could get really stuck on the skin,
Uh-huh.
get all over your fingernails, unfortunately. But once you have it, it's fantastic. But so the pastelón de plato my mom used to do is almost like a layered lasagna, but
Ooh,
instead of the pasta,
oh,
you
you,
would use the mashed plantain.
ooh, yummy.
So you have this beautiful kind of gooey, soft, meaty, cheesy, delicious kind of inspired by lasagna
Right.
called pastel de plátano.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to do a different one at sobremesa, make it more tapas style. So I would take the sweet plantain and
Uh-huh.
cut almost like a an insert inside. Think of it
Uh-huh.
looking like a canoe, basically.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So I'll take a little bit of the inside off, and then I will cook this ragu. And I do a vegan one at sobremesa using impossible meat and also soy chorizo.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh, wow.
you
That's really good.
a lot of us love, especially here in California,
Mhm.
love the spices that chorizo has, whether it's the soy one or the actual pork chorizo. And the soy chorizo, even though it's made out of soybeans, it has the same spices as the pork one would have, and it's so
Oh,
delicious and kind of a lot of umami in there, which is a great. So it's so easy to cook with. So
yes.
what you want to do is have a saute pan
Uh-huh.
at a medium heat. I
Uh-huh.
never, and that's one tip I would give to everybody, never cook with high heat. You don't need to, unless you're trying to sear something really hard and get some really good color. But if you're making a sauce, you're making anything else that's kind of softer and takes a lot more time, you
Uh-huh.
want to start at a medium to low heat, never high heat. That's
Okay.
how you burn things easily and things get really, it's not going to work out.
Yes.
Uh, that's a tip I actually got from my mom, which is great.
Yes.
So I
Uh-huh.
learned a lot from her, but I also learned a lot from other great chefs. I've been again working in amazing restaurants throughout the years. Cooked in Italy myself. Did some stints in Spain too, which I
Yeah.
learned so much. But again, you want to have a saute pan or cast iron is even better.
Uh-huh.
Medium to slow heat. You want to start searing your meat, or again, the impossible meat and soy chorizo together
Uh-huh.
with like about 2 tablespoons of canola oil.
Uh-huh.
I love to use canola oil because it's more neutral, doesn't burn as fast.
Okay.
Um, being cooking in Italy, a lot of us cooked with olive oil, right? Olive oil is delicious, it's fantastic, but it burns really fast. So you have to be
It
really careful.
does. It does. Yep.
Yeah. But it gives so much great flavor, and my Italian friends and family will be mad if I tell them to think of something
To
else.
use canola. Yes. Yes. I
Yeah.
understand that.
But the olive oil, unfortunately, is not as delicious as when you get it, really fresh pressed out in Italy.
Exactly. Yes. It's
Right?
not. Yeah.
But you want to do that. You want to sear the plant based meats. And one thing about impossible meat, if someone hasn't tried it, it's really cool to cook with.
Okay.
A lot of us chefs were hesitant when it first came
Uh-huh.
out because
Yes.
it's a brand new thing that supposedly cooks like meat and
Mhm.
it looks like it's bleeding. But when you cook with it, it's so easy and it feels just like you're cooking actual meat.
It is. It is.
And
And I was just going to say, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I just want to say I like to highlight vegan or vegetarian recipes on my show. I'm actually a
yeah,
vegetarian, but if somebody did want to use meat, they can just substitute the impossible meat for
yeah,
regular meat, right? So
yeah,
it's
for
probably
sure.
that easy. Yeah.
For sure. And that's a great thing about impossible meat is like it's not just made for it's not really made for vegans. It's also
Right.
made for meat eaters who want to kind of eat a little bit healthier,
Uh-huh.
can't eat as much meat as they used to. I just turned 41 not too long ago, so I have to watch my the food that I intake also. You know, a lot of
Yes.
us do when we get to a certain age. So
Yes.
thinking
Yes.
about what's healthier to eat, moderating your food intake, especially your protein intake, is very important. So
Yes.
I love using fossil meat just to get that kind of nostalgic flavor that I want in
Yes.
meaty,
Yes.
but eating something a lot healthier. So I
Yes.
definitely recommend Impossible Meat. But again, soy chorizo is fantastic too, and it cooks really, really well together with Impossible Meat. It already adds the spices that you want, so you don't have to go too crazy
Have to
on it.
add. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So for this recipe, you want to use about half pound Impossible Meat. So one packet that comes in at the store.
Uh-huh.
For the soy chorizo, you want to use 1 cup of that.
Okay.
So you're cooking it together, but you also want to add some garlic, some onions. I love to use red onions. That's my favorite to use. You can also use the Spanish yellow onions, which are a lot more affordable and delicious too, or the
Uh-huh.
white onion if you're familiar, if you're a fan of that. But red onions sliced, just sauteing it with the meat because the Impossible meat actually has a lot of great flavor already packed into it. And it looks like it's fat, but it's not, you know. But
Uh-huh.
they add these cool things that really you can add garlic and onions and it cooks well, really delicious all together.
Yeah.
So you want to saute that down, almost like making a traditional ragu,
Right.
whether it's Italian or French style.
Right.
And then my secret for this is a seasoning called adobo, adobo
Okay.
sazon. So if
Uh-huh.
you want to highlight Latin flavors
Mhm.
in all your cooking, that's the best seasoning to use. What it has is the flavors of oregano, a lot of garlic, a lot of onion,
Uh-huh.
achiote, which is annatto seed.
Uh-huh.
Has these spicy kind of earthy tones, which is fantastic. It also has dry citrus, so it's adding this really bright, like light, bright kind of flavors
Mm-hmm.
that we do if you squeeze some lemon or something on something.
Yes.
So definitely recommend adobo. There's different brands. There's a Goya brand. There's also Nor's has his own version too.
Mhm.
My mom's favorite, the one that has it says con culantro. So think about the word cilantro, but
Cilantro.
instead of an I is a U. It's a really fresh herb that grows in the Caribbean islands and the South. That it looks like cilantro, but it's bigger leaves, and it
Uh-huh.
has this kind of like a different aroma to it, which is it seems like it's like cilantro, but it has more of a more intense flavor,
Mm-hmm.
intense aroma that
Yes.
gives food the best kind of smell and freshness to it.
Mhm.
So definitely recommend culantro. But again, you want to cook your meat down with your onions and garlic, add your seasoning. I would always add about 1, 2 tablespoons of the seasoning to
Okay.
this.
Uh-huh.
Saute down so it's fully cooked. And this cooks in less than 5 minutes because again, it's not real meat.
Right.
So if you
Exactly.
want something super quick, this is the easiest thing to use.
Mm-hmm.
So you have on the side. I also add a little tomato paste, or you
Uh-huh.
can add some fresh tomatoes that are we have. We
Uh-huh.
are in California, so we're very lucky here
Yeah.
compared to New York. So you take some vine ripe tomatoes, chop it down, mix it in, cook it
Uh-huh.
for like 1 to 2 minutes, and you are done. It's a quick, super easy
Yeah,
ragu.
that is quick.
Yeah, but it's so delicious, so intense in flavor. The
Mhm.
seasoning is the key, so you don't have to do so much. And then the tomato paste really binds things together.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't make it kind of separate, keeps everything in. So I recommend 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. The
Uh-huh.
best ones, San Marzano is one of the best tomato brands you want to find.
Yes.
Italian approved too.
Yes. Definitely. I can attest to that. Yes. San Marzano.
Beautiful,
So sweet.
beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what you want to do. You want to put that to the side, let it cool down a little bit. And now
Okay.
for the plantain, there's 2 ways of doing it. So for us as tapas and more of a chefy style, I
Uh-huh.
would cut that canoe, I
Hmm.
would say.
Yes.
But you can always just slice it. So think like you're slicing banana at the bias,
Okay.
and you want to pan fry this. You
Okay.
can pan fry it, but also there's a way of doing it in the oven. I
Uh-huh.
recommend the oven just at this stage of my life to eat a little bit healthier. We're
Yes.
using plant-based items. So I would bake it
Uh-huh.
in an oven for at 375 degrees.
Huh?
You want to add a little bit of oil, and this time is when you can actually use olive oil. So
Okay.
for us, who love using olive oil, you
Yeah,
can use a
olive
little
oil.
use of olive oil
Uh-huh.
on the plantains. Kind of toss it in a bowl, and then lay it down on some foil paper.
Uh-huh.
Put it in the oven or cookie sheet. Let
Uh-huh.
it cook for 10 minutes.
Okay.
You take that out. You take your plantains, put it on a plate, and then you're gonna take your ragu,
Uh-huh.
just drizzle it all
Mhm.
over the plantains, and
Plantains.
then I like to use some peppers, pickled peppers.
Oh yeah. That sounds
Best brand for me is Meseta.
mhm.
Meseta is fantastic. I grew up on that.
Uh-huh.
Italian brand, all Italian ingredients
Yes.
from southern part of Italy.
Uh-huh.
It's fantastic. You have the cherry peppers if you want more heat and sweetness. You have the regular red bell peppers that go really well with this recipe.
Uh-huh.
It comes already sliced. You just pour it right over it. If you want even more heat, Calabrian chilies are fantastic.
Oh
Maria,
yeah.
you're probably a fan of Calabrian chilies. They're
Yes.
they're great.
They are good.
Um, so you want to drizzle a little bit of the peppers on top, and then also if you're not vegan, you can also use some queso fresco.
Uh-huh.
So a little bit of cheese or some feta.
Yes.
Feta is
Oh, yeah,
fantastic.
that is good. Uh-huh.
You drizzle it over the peppers and the ragu, and you just enjoy your meal.
Oh, wow. That sounds really good. It's quick too. It's quick, easy.
Yeah,
It's kind of healthy too. I mean, it is really has all ingredients that are virtually good for you. So, wow, that's a
yeah.
definitely a great dish.
Thank
And
you, thank you. Yeah, and
wow.
I will send you the recipe, Maria, so you can share with your
Yes,
all your
I was
beautiful
just,
guests.
yes, if you can send that to me, I will share that on my blog when we air this podcast, definitely, so everybody
Perfect,
can
perfect.
get that. But that's a really recipe.
Thank
Well,
you.
thanks so much for sharing that. So, Nelson, tell us the name of your restaurants again. I know Sobra Mesa, and they're both in downtown Oakland, and the other one is
Other one is Alamar Kitchen and Bar.
Alamar Kitchen and Bar. And do people have to make reservations or no, they can just come in?
For Alamar, you can just come in, first come, first serve.
Uh-huh.
But it's very easy, especially on Thursdays and Fridays, early on the day.
Uh-huh.
For Sobre Mesa, we definitely recommend reservations. It's more of a really sexy vibe in there, so definitely for dates and anniversaries, and only for adults. It's a cocktail bar,
Okay.
so if you got kids, leave them at home, or you can take them to Alomar.
And that's it.
It's more
Okay.
fun.
So Sobra Mesa is the cocktail bar and
Yes,
Alamar is the one, the family friendly one.
yes, yes. So if you want to make reservations, go on to Resi.com.
Uh-huh.
Find us on there, and we'll love to see you.
Okay, great. That's what I was going to ask. Do you have a website we should tell people about, or it's the website for the restaurants?
Yes, you can go to the restaurants too to
Uh-huh.
make a reservation on Sobre Mesa, but you can also go on Resi.com. If
Uh-huh.
you go to Sobre Mesa Oakland.com,
Okay.
and you can find us and see some beautiful pictures of what we do. It's
Uh-huh.
a really fun place. It really showcases my culture.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to bring a place that's Afro Latin and it's fun. It takes
Right.
you on a vacation. Like
Yeah.
you feel like you're not in California when you walk in there.
I love it because you're sharing your culture. And I think that's so important to do with food because food has more of a meaning to it. You know,
Yes,
it's tied, different foods are tied to different cultures. And it's such a fun way to teach people about our cultures. So I love it.
definitely,
That's great.
definitely.
That's wonderful. Well, you have a happy Hispanic Heritage Month, and
Thank you so
hopefully,
much.
we'll have some of our listeners visiting. And when I'm out there, I will certainly come and visit you. Sounds so
Please
good.
do, please do.
I wish I
Thank
could
you.
come today. I would love to have that dish.
Thank you so much. But I will definitely send the recipe over to share for everyone to try this out.
Uh-huh,
Again, it's a really delicious, fast recipe,
uh-huh.
and you can put your own twist on it. But definitely, it's fantastic and it's healthy. It's really good for you.
Yeah,
And to everyone too, if you want to see me in action, you can watch me back on Top Chef season 18. I was
yes.
on there. It was named one of the best seasons ever. Time Magazine, most influential
Uh,
seasons for any reality
wow.
show. So
Yes.
watch us. Have a good time watching it. It was
So
amazing.
people can find that, like they can just do a search online. I'm assuming YouTube will have
Yeah,
it. Okay.
yeah. YouTube and also Hulu. It's on Hulu the whole season.
Okay.
Definitely check us out.
Okay, that's great. Oh, we definitely will. All right, Nelson, thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you, Maria.
Good
Ciao.
talking to you. Ciao. Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show. And thanks, as always, to my producer, Britton Roselle, and this week's special guest, Nelson German. And you can find me at marialiberati.com, on artoflivingprimamedia.com. You can find most of my book series. You can also find the book that I read the excerpt from, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking Diaries Seasons, at artoflivingprimamedia.com and amazon.com, Kindle, and really anywhere books are sold. And you can also find me on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Twitter at Maria Liberati, on my Roku channel, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati, and on Xena Media. It's the radio station called The Basic Art of. And coming up, I will be at the Taste Philadelphia show at the Valley Forge Casino and Resort on October 21st and 22nd. I will be doing a sampling of recipes for my book and a book signing, and I will be one of the celebrity chefs on stage there. So please plan to join me. I'd love to see you. And until next week, don't forget to try that fig crostata recipe. And if you do, by the way, take a picture, share it, hashtag it, The Maria Liberati Show, and we'll share it on the website, themarialiberatishow.com. Oh, yes. Some of the excerpts from each of the shows and some of the transcripts are on, and the recipes are on the marialiberatishow.com, so check it out. Until next week, peace, love, and pasta.